Hi viewers, how are you? I hope you all are fine. So today we are going to explain Sector 8 movie. The movie is made with a revenge story, which means you understand this movie is made with an amazing story. So I will say watch the video till the end. Otherwise you will miss a lot of things. So without further ado, let's start the video. At the beginning of the story we can see some American soldiers going on a mission. And here we can see everything around is quiet. But suddenly a man comes forward with a bomb in his hand, and when he drops the bomb they shoot at him and knock him out. After killing him, a soldier named Jake calls a commander named Michon and asks for permission to defuse the bomb, which means he asks a higher authority for permission to defuse the bomb. Although Mason doesn't allow him, Jake cuts the wire, but then another bomb explodes here, and this blast kills many people. We can see a lot of thugs come up with weapons to kill them, and here when the shooting is going on, a lot of American soldiers are killed in the shooting, because the bullets are raining down on them, and Jake would have died too. But at the very last moment Mason saves him. He shoots the goon and ends it here. That goon can no longer shoot Jake. So now we can see that only Jake and Mason are alive and all the other American soldiers are killed. And they are about to be attacked again. But before that an American helicopter comes in and they take them both away. So now the story comes to 5 years forward. We can see that Jake has become a normal person, trying to lead a normal life. He has also left the army. That incident that happened has remained in his mind. That incident has cut a deep scar in his mind, and because of this he is very mentally disturbed. Now he has to take a lot of medicine to survive, means to be mentally healthy. Every day he has to take 3 to 4 medicines. We can see that now he works in the garage of a man named Earl and comes in the evening to spend time with his family. His son is Sam, and he loves his son very much. But the next morning when he backs into the garage he sees some goons trying to extort money from Earl. But Jake comes forward after seeing this and tells them to leave quietly. But after hearing this, the leader of the gangsters, named Fresh, tries to attack Jake with all his men. But Jake is not normal, he is an army man, so after beating them all, when Fresh sees he can't take it anymore he leaves here with a threat. He says, "I will take revenge for this, you wait for it." Jake is worried about his family after hearing this threat, so he calls his wife Grace and tells her to be careful, and he tells her the whole story. But we can see Grace getting a little angry at him, saying that you should have informed the police that you did it wrong instead of fighting yourself. And the call ends when they argue about it. Later that evening, when Jake backs home, he sees Fresh's car parked in front of his house, and he tells him that "I got my revenge," then he drives away. And when Jake runs and checks in the room, his head is completely lost after seeing the situation there. He can see his wife and child lying dead and completely covered in blood. There is a sea of blood here. After seeing these things, he could not bear it at all. He started crying. He was crying loudly, and because of this, the surrounding neighbors also came together. A little later we see the police come here, and when the police start questioning, here's where Jake gets out with his truck without answering, and as he's driving around looking for Fresh, he finds his car in front of a bar, and then he enters the bar with bullets and shoots each of Fresh's men one by one, after killing everyone. When it's Fresh's turn, Fresh stops him and tries to tell him that "I didn't kill your family for revenge. If I didn't obey your family, I would have died. I had no choice but to kill your family." But Jack didn't care at all. He finished him off by firing several shots at him. Then from here the scene shifts and we move forward 5 months. We can see that now Jake is in jail, but because of the death of his wife and son Jake is now mentally disturbed. His mental condition is not good now. He's slowly going crazy, but one day we see Commander Meccan come to meet him. Meccan tells him, "I want you out of jail." But Jake tells him, "I don't regret what I did. I am fully ready to take my punishment, you don't have to take me out," and for this Mason leaves. But a few days later a man named Ramsey comes to meet him. He tells him that he is a special forces commander, but we can see that Jake doesn't care. He doesn't care about them, so he gets up and leaves. Later that night as Jake sleeps in his cell and dreams about the good times he spent with his family, suddenly some masked men come into his cell and they grab him and inject him and bring him out. And when he regains consciousness he can see that Ramsey and his men have done it. Ramsey tells him, "I've been following you for years, I think you deserve to be on my team. You'll be working for my team Section 8. However, Jake had no interest in this. But then again Ramsey told him that your son didn't want you to die in jail. He wanted you to be a hero. You had to be a hero, not a jail inmate at all." And we can see that after hearing this, Jake agrees to work with him, because these words have impressed him. A bit later we see Jake being brought into an underground tunnel, where Ramsey gives him a new car, a new house, a lot of money, plus a new identity because now the whole world knows he died in prison. Some masked people come and kill him in jail, and when Ramsey leaves after explaining all of this, we see the whole team decide to do a test on Jake. We can see a guy named Ajax trying to take a test by pushing him, but Jake is no less. He starts fighting with him. After a fierce fight, Jake goes to kill Ajax with a pen, but then his family picture comes in front of him, so he can't beat him anymore, so he lets him go. Next we see a girl named Lisa and Jake go out on a new mission, where they have to kill a man named Castillo, because Castillo is a dangerous mafia and also sells weapons. He is planning to send a huge shipment of weapons to Russia. He has to be finished before then, and if the weapons go to Russia there could be a terrible war. Later in the evening they come to the place in Mexico where Castillo is going to deal with a Russian gang, and when they come to deal we see Jake hiding there, and when he shoots and kills a thug, the Russian gang gets a little more scared after hearing gunshots, thinking maybe someone from Castillo's gang is trying to shoot them. Although Castillo was repeatedly denying it, but here they started fighting, blaming each other. But apparently it was not in words, it converted into bullets. They started shooting at each other. But then there's also a blast in a car, and the blast kills almost 2 of the gang. And when Jake goes outside to try to check if anyone's still alive, he finds 2 girls in the car. He can see the 2 girls sitting in the car very scared, so he takes the papers back from there without killing the girls. But later when Ramsey finds out about it, he gets a little angrier with Jake, because he left the 2 girls alive. He should have killed everyone there. But a little angry Jake asks him that you have no mercy on human life? Why do you want to kill everyone? But without answering this, Ramsey calls a man named Locke and asks him to go to a hotel, and when he arrives at the hotel, there are many goons ready to face him, but Locke kills them all one by one and slowly advances towards his target. And when his target sees that Locke has arrived, he knows very well that he was sent by Ramsey, so he lures him with a lot of money. He says, I will give you much more money than what Ramsey gave you. But Locke doesn't hear it. He shoots him dead on the spot. And a little later we see Jake come to a bar with a girl named Lisa and talk to her, trying to find out about Ramsey, like who is Ramsey? But we can see that Lisa doesn't know much about Ramsey, so she can't tell him anything. And a few days later they were sent on a new mission, which was to collect some secret documents and kill a minister named Graham, because he was unfaithful to the country despite being a minister, and besides, since he has Z+ security, he has to be very careful or else there could be dire consequences. A little later we see them all change clothes and walk into Graham's meeting, and here when Lisa sneaks up and shoots some of them dead, a guard sees it, and he spreads the news. That's why they all tried to take Graham in a car and run away from there. We can see that while Lisa was collecting all the documents from the computer, Jake was following Graham's car outside, because to complete the mission, he has to be killed, but the car was too fast for Jake to outrun him, so Jake decides to take another shortcut. He jumps down the hill as the car turns and comes down the road. Jake gets in front of the car at the last minute and starts shooting at the car. But then a guard comes out and attacks him, but somehow he kills him, and then whenever he goes to kill Graham, at the very last minute Graham begs for his life. He says, what will happen to my family after my death? How will my family survive? And after hearing this, his family picture appears in front of Jake. He can't beat him anymore, he's too emotional. He doesn't kill him, he lets him go. But then we can see that Ajax and a bunch of guys come from behind, and Jake completes their mission by killing Graham. And later that night, Jake gets very upset, because he didn't want to kill Graham, but Graham was killed anyway. So he cries a little when she sees his son's picture. But then suddenly he realizes there are some masked men coming outside his room who want to kill him, so Jake sneaks out, and when these guys come into the house and check him all over the house, they can't find him anywhere, because Jake has already gone out the back door. The next morning, Jake comes to meet Mason. He tells him everything. He tells him how he got out of jail, how he was put into Section 8, all these things, but after listening to them, Mason is shocked. He says that the original Section 8 was shut down years ago, and what is now called Section 8 is actually a duplicate organization, where various ex-FBI officers, various army officers work, and since their people are spread all over the country, they are a huge organization. Jake has been dishonest with them without finishing their work, so they will finish Jake at any time, and after hearing all these things, Jake was also a little afraid. But then when Jake is back in his town, Ramsey calls him to make a deal. He says, look, you did what you did. You come back and I'll forgive you for all your sins. But we can see that Jake directly say no. He says, I will never work with you again. You kill people for no reason. I'm not with these murderers anymore. But after hearing this, Ramsey gets a little angrier and he calls Locke and orders him to murder Jake. Meanwhile, when Jake comes out of a store, he meets one of his son's friends, who tells Jake that some guys in black suits broke into your house before killed your kid and your wife. I saw it with my own eyes. But as soon as he said that, Locke comes in and he starts shooting at them. We see Jake somehow push the kid into the store and get away on his own. Locke also shoots and kills a lot of innocent people trying to kill him. And a lot of cops, but it doesn't matter to him. He just wants to kill Jake at any cost. Locke then steals a police car and starts following Jake, but Jake somehow escapes. Locke never finds him. Jake was actually hiding in Earl's garage, but somehow all of Ramsey's people find out and they're there to kill him. We see a guy here who was going to shoot Jake, but at the very last moment Earl ends up shooting him and somehow saves Jake. And then the thugs all come together to kill Jake. We see a guy named Brunner attack Jake. Then Ajax attacks him from behind, and the bullet hits Brunner. Because of this, Brunner is also angry with him and they both start to fight. But taking this opportunity, Jake kills Brunner. After seeing this, Ajax starts shooting at him a lot, but we can see that Jake somehow saves his life by making Brunner a shield. And since Ajax has shot him so many times that his gun has run out, they finally have to fight. We see the two of them get into a hand-to-hand fight, and it's a very scary fight. In the fight, Jake can't do anything, and at the very last minute, when Ajax is about to kill him, Lisa comes from behind and shoots Ajax to finish him off. She saves Jake at the last minute, and then they get away with Earl's car. Here Lisa tells him that I saved you only because I also want to leave Section 8, because it is not suitable for me, it makes me unbearable. Then when they start searching a forest to catch Ramsey, someone suddenly comes from behind and punches Jake in the face, knocking him unconscious, and then ties him to a chair, and when Jake regains consciousness he sees Ramsey sitting in front of him. Actually, this girl named Lisa has trapped Jake here along with Ramsey, and a little later Ramsey calls another guy who was none other than Mason himself. Actually, Mason used to work for Ramsey, and when Jake found out about this, he was completely shocked, because he couldn't believe that Mason even worked for him, and he was very confused about all these things. Why was he brought here? How did that happen? And then we find out that it was actually Ramsey who paid Fresh to kill Jake's family. Then we see the three of them have a meeting here. Ramsey gives them the money because they've completed their mission. Ramsey then tells them that you should kill Jake because as long as he's alive there will be a cut in the way. We can see Mason agrees to do it and comes with a knife to kill Jake, but here he frees Jake without killing him, and tells him that I'm on a mission. I want to finish Section 8. I've been given this mission. Now I need your help, because it can't be done without your help. Then they sound an alarm, and after hearing the sound of this alarm many goons come here. But we can see here they too finish all the goons together. After finishing off all the goons in a shootout they slowly approach Ramsey. But after seeing these things he sneaks away with Lisa, as he knows very well that he is sure to die. But when Jake comes here, Ramsey starts tempting him with money. He says I will give you more money than you have ever imagined. But we can see that Jake gets a little angry and shoots him. But then Ramsey says that I didn't do all these things. All these things were done by Mason. Our leader is Mason. But we can see that Jake doesn't want to believe him at all. And in the middle of this conversation, this girl named Lisa walks in and she shoots Jake. Jake is about to get shot, but Mädchen intervenes to save his friend and saves Jake, and that's why the bullet hits him. And when Jake starts questioning him, he says that this machine is more than my life. I die but you will complete this mission. He dies as soon as he says this, and a little later the girl named Lisa came in front of him again and attacked him again. Since she couldn't fight with Jake, she took out a knife and inserted it into Jake's chest, but Jake is no less clever. He grabs Lisa and pulls the knife out of his chest and kills her with it. And then when he runs outside to catch Ramsey, he sees Ramsey fleeing in a car. That's why Jake starts following him with a car from behind. We can see they start driving like crazy trying not to catch anyone. But when Ramsey suddenly looks back to see where Jake is, he crashes his car and is badly injured. And taking this opportunity, Jake comes in front of him and he kills him with a few shots without saying a word. So we see that Jake finally finishes the mission that Mason started. And then in the evening a man named General Savoy comes to meet with Jake. Actually, Mason also works for General Savoy. When the general finds out that Jake completed the mission, he offers him a job in the police force. But Jake says no, saying, now I don't have a reason to work. I had a reason until now, but it's gone. But later when Jake backs home, he can see Locke waiting for him in his room. Actually, he wants to complete his mission, because he doesn't leave any mission uncompleted, so he starts fighting with him. We see a very gruesome fight, and when Locke knocks him down, Jake can see that he has a gun behind him, and Jake shoots him a few times, and that's how he kills Locke here. The next morning, Jake takes his clothes and leaves for a new journey. When he sits in the bus, he sees a little boy playing with his mother, and after seeing this, he remembers his family, because that's what his family was like, and that's why he called General Savoy and said I'm ready to do the job, to make sure that what happened to his family doesn't happen to another family. That's why he's going to do the job. At such a point this whole movie ends here. So comment below and let me know how you liked the video. If you like the video then please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to our channel then please do so. So see you in another video some other day. Till then take care.